Welcome to the Wild Wisdom Podcast, where we learn how to heal our hearts, find our voices, and step into our authentic power as the wild women that we were destined to be. I'm your host, Jessica Love. Settle into whichever way you like to listen to the Wild Wisdom Podcast, and let's get started.
I'm so excited today because we have a very special guest, one of my past mentors and friends, Angelica Ventrice. She is a mindset and holistic coach for high performers. Hey, Angelica.
Oh, thank you for having me. Full circle moment.
Yes, full circle moment. Exactly. I'm so glad that you are here. And I'm really especially glad that you're here because I feel like wellness and fitness have just really taken over. Sometimes I feel like for the better, and sometimes I feel like for the worse, socially and culturally and on social media.
I know. Yeah, I know. Like me doing it for 15 years. So to see where I started and then like to see what goes on in the industry now, some of it's great. And then some of it is daunting, quite honestly. Yeah.
Totally. I could see that. I feel that way in the spiritual space. So I'm sure if I can switch that mindset around to where you're at, I could see that. And also I feel like where there's a void, we get opportunities to step in and create.
Yes.
We get to step in and answer those questions that people have, especially beginners. Through the 15 years that you've been doing this work with high achievers, what would you say are like the three biggest issues that you've seen with the people that you've worked with as far as their health and mindset goes?
Whoa, loaded question. Issue number one, lack of consistency. So which is obviously a mindset issue at the end of the day, requires true consistency in health and business and life, and anything requires an identity shift. Most people do not want to make identity shifts because they don't want to do the hard work. They don't want to meet their shadows. They don't want to meet their egos. They are just afraid to lean into that discomfort. So they may lose a little weight or reach a goal and then they stop because they're not really ready to go to that next level. And that next level is where that sustainable consistency comes from. So I would say consistency. The second, well, being that I'm now in my 40s, so my coaching has, evolved quite a lot. And I coach a lot of women 40s, 50s, and 60s. Another mistake I see is that many women will typically say, oh, it's my age, or oh, it's my hormones. And it's not really the truth. The truth is it's your habits, it's your lifestyle, it's your stress, it's your poor mindset, it's the thoughts you have on a daily basis. It's everything leading up to whatever age you're at. It's not like I suddenly turned 42, which that's how old I am now, and I am in perimenopause. I didn't gain a bunch of weight. Sure, I felt some shifts. I definitely can't eat a half a jar of almond butter like I used to in my 20s. Like I'll definitely see it. But if you take the proper steps with consistent strength training, walking, stress management, breathing, meditation, grounding, all the things I teach in my program, if you take the proper steps, you're not just going to turn XYZ age and there you go, you're suddenly overweight. So there's a lot of blaming on age or just hormones when it's really habits and choices.
I'm really grateful you brought that up. Obviously, I haven't had that experience yet being 28, but I have started to see that a lot in my friends because most of my friends
heard it, right? Or seen it. Yeah.
Right. And they'll say things to me like I just had lunch with a girlfriend who's 37 and she was like, well, you're so young, you're just a baby. Like almost like you don't understand. But this is the mindset I try to have with myself with becoming a mom, where it's like, I'm really trying to work on that belief that, my body will be ruined after having kids, or I can't, like maybe my literal hip width will not decrease because they expanded to have a baby, but yeah, I can still lose body fat. Like I can still do body recomp.
And do whatever you desire to do. You can do whatever you desire to do as long as your mindset's in the right place.
I really feel that too. And it's really refreshing to see you like holding that pillar. Reminding people too that being in your 40s isn't old. It's just like your hormones are having a different experience, but that doesn't mean that you have to.
Yes, exactly. They're having a different experience, but there's a lot that we can do to combat or prevent the weight gain. And it really comes down to focusing on building lean muscle mass and focusing on stress management and nervous system regulation. So I'd say the biggest mistake number 3 that I see really overall in the industry is that there's too many coaches and programs pushing macros and calories in, calories out. You need to eat these foods and all the things about just eat these calories in, calories out, do these workouts. Yes, that's important. But what they're forgetting is nervous system regulation and stress management, because if you do not regulate your nervous system, if your body does not feel safe, you will never release weight. So cortisol is a huge hormone that people need to pay attention to. It creates that layer of belly fat. It creates dysregulation in the other hormones when cortisol is through the roof. So I would say that's another really big miss in many other coaching programs and probably in a lot of women's minds. They're not coming to me saying, okay, Coach Ange, help me regulate my nervous system. Although I did just get a new client who she heard me on a podcast and she said that. She's like, I know I need that. But I think in general, we're not really thinking of that. We're thinking, oh, I want to be fit. Oh, I want to have body recomp. Oh, I want to lose fat. But it's like, and we're just thinking, tell me what I need to eat and tell me what I need to do for workouts. And it's like, no, our bodies are not just as simple as a math equation. And I will like ride or die about that statement. And I know there's a lot of other health coaches who will disagree with me. They're like, it's just be in a caloric deficit. Yes, to an extent. But you can be in a caloric deficit if you are highly stressed, if you have tons of trauma, if you don't regulate, you're not gonna look good. That's the bottom line.
Yeah. So I'm hearing you say that when you're trying to lose weight and doing the calories in, calories out, working out and things like that doesn't work if you've had trauma and you have high cortisol. What are some ways to combat high cortisol? And I'm curious. So like I see on TikTok now, there's like juice supplements and lotions that people are using.
Here we go.
And I've worked with you and an Ayurvedic coach before, and I don't think either of you would have said to go that route, but I'm curious, like, first of all, what are some practical ways we can reduce our cortisol right now?
Yeah.
And what's up with like the supplement cortisol pipe?
Also want to say,
Is it real?
Again, can I go back to one other miss is the lack of attention to gut health. Gut health is becoming more buzzy now, but I've been doing gut health for as long as I've been an online coach for 7 years straight. I've been focusing on gut health. And a lot of women, especially women who are even, 35 plus, once again, they're thinking it's just their hormones, but it's their poor gut health because when you have gut inflammation, it skews your hormones. So anyway, I just wanted to say that about gut health. There needs to be a strong focus on gut health in order to not just lose weight and feel good, but dopamine and serotonin are located in your gut. 70% of your immune system are located in your gut. So I also think that's a really big miss. Okay. So your question on the supplements, like the cortisol supplements.
Yeah, I want to hear about that. And then I also want to pick your brain around gut health as well.
Sure. So there's a time and a place for supplements. My approach is with every woman who comes into my program or client who comes into my program is to help them with nutritional and lifestyle and stress management and nervous system regulation first, and then add in supplements. Get their body to a level of homeostasis before we just dump on the supplements, right? It's like trying to build a house on a foundation that's all crazy, right? Like it's uneven this and that. You got to even out the foundation and then we build the house. It's like the same kind of concept, right? So I don't believe in just like throwing on, even if someone has like severe gut issues, I'm like, no, we're going to approach it like, how's your sleep? How's your morning routine? How's your evening routine? What's your relationship with your kids and your husband? What's your relationships like at work? Like all the pieces. We are so intricate as human beings, right? That's why I say it's not just about the nutrition. So you got to look at the whole really to bring cortisol down. So yes, there's a supplement I take called Cortisol Manager. It has ashwagandha. It's supposedly, there's a lot of studies that shows that it helps regulate and calm cortisol down in your body. Do I feel better when I take it? To be honest, I take it with so many other supplements. It is quite hard to tell. I take it at night. I take it with my magnesium. So is it working? I don't know. I look at it and I feel good. So I think everything is working synergistically. I don't think just doing one supplement by itself is going to transform your life. I think there's a time and a place for supplements. There are obviously some things that we cannot get all from food, or especially the food in America is lacking. But there's no magic detox pill. There's no magic pill for cortisol. Your body naturally detoxes on its own. Your liver is working daily to do detoxes, which is why me and the other coach you work with didn't say, okay, Jess, yeah, you need to do all these cleanses. Have I done cleanses before? Yes. When I feel like my digestive system needs a break from honestly eating too much animal protein, because it takes our bodies a lot of energy to process animal protein. So I'll do breaks where I'll do just a vegan, like I'll just be vegan for a little bit, right? Or I'll just do like bone broth and, some soups, but I don't do that often because I really do believe that our bodies are very smart and intelligent and they know how to detox naturally. You could feel it though. If you feel sludgy, if you feel extra bloated and you feel like you need to do a little cleanse, sure, but it doesn't necessarily even need to be 5 days. You could just do sauna and you could do a 3-day bone broth water cleanse. And there you go. You don't need to do these whole elaborate, take these pills, do these juices, do the things your body is meant to chew. It's meant to eat the fiber, like eat the things, ladies, you're going to be okay. And I just think it's, it's probably $1 trillion industry, the supplement industry. And I'm not on TikTok because I can't stand all of that. There's just too much of that. Like, do this, try this, try this. And it's like, can we just get back to the basics? It's like all the crazy workouts you see. Traditional strict strength training, lift the heavy weights. I've had 3 people ask me this week what I do for my body. And when I tell them that I just lift weights and I run once a week, they look at me like I'm crazy. They're like, that's it? I'm like, that's it. They're like, not CrossFit? I'm like, not CrossFit.
Yeah. There's another podcast I referenced a couple episodes ago, and I might put it in the show notes too, because it's basically a social piece on what we're talking about and it uses some like theories and like the media studies or whatever about how with the wellness industry and the fitness industry, we've taken these things that can be as nuanced as they need to be and also as simple as they need to be. Mm-hmm. We've made them really complicated and really monetizable to the point where there's always this goalpost. Like the first trend is, right now, if I go, it's like the first trend is the Pilates body. But then if you only do Pilates, you're probably going to lose your butt. So then the next trend is now you got to be a Pilates body and then get a big butt. So now you're training heavy glutes somehow. You're in a calorie deficit.
Oh my gosh, I can't.
All your glutes. I don't know how this is all going to happen at the same time. And you're getting a Pilates body, right? And
you're not getting a Pilates body and growing your glutes at the same time. Sorry.
That can't happen. Like it's a science.
Also marathon runners who come to me, they're like, oh, I want to run these races, but I also want to look like you. I'm like, not going to happen because I used to race. And when I raced, my body didn't look like this because you'd lose a ton of muscle mass. Just 2 different things.
Yeah, exactly. And yes. And then there's like the over push on aesthetics. And then they're like, no, you can't care about aesthetics. And so I really love your approach of like, okay, it's really simple. Like do the things that are good for you, have a good vibe about it. Yeah. And work with a guide to help see your blind spots.
It's like some women come to us and they have more aesthetic goals. A woman I just spoke to, she just wants to have the energy to run her business and feel good. She's not trying. She's like, I don't need to be ripped or super toned. She's like, but I want to be a good example for my daughter. I want to feel good. I want to be healthy and I want to teach her. Like, so, there's a lot of extremes and I do feel like I'm in the middle. I'm also like in the middle with the spiritual aspect, as you know, like I'm definitely very spiritual and I am woo, but I'm not like too extreme. So I can bring it into my clients and coach women through it, but I'm not like on the extreme side where everything is like woo la la land, which there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm definitely like, I'm in the middle with a lot of things, which I think a lot of women appreciate because there's a lot of extremes.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. At the beginning, you mentioned gut health.
Mm-hmm.
How are some ways that somebody might know that their gut health is poor? And what is one daily practice we can do every day to better our gut health?
Perfect. So there are so many signs of poor gut health, and there's the obvious, right? Like bloating, constipation, diarrhea, acid reflux. I mean, those are very obvious, like to most people, okay, like, yeah, I'm bloated all day. Something's wrong with my gut. You should not be bloated all day. Many women walk around bloated all the time and they accept it as their norm. That is not normal. Sure, maybe after you eat a big meal, you could have a little bit, but it shouldn't be like this all day thing. Okay. So that's a signifier: acid reflux, diarrhea, constipation. And then there's the not so obvious: constant migraines, fatigue, joint pain, getting sick often, since 70 to 80% of your immune system is located in your gut.
Which that is a crazy number. That's a crazy number. And I feel like there needs to be, what's going on? It needs to be like, okay, apparently, did you hear that honking?
Yeah.
The first thing so too. There's our woo-woo.
Like, yeah, gut health.
Right. Yeah. I'm like, spirit wants us to be talking about this. That is, so you said 70 to 80%. So that means that if I'm eating decently, I mean, I don't know if my gut health would be bad if I was, but let's say that I'm like eating well and I'm exercising, I'm taking my vitamin C. If my gut health is poor, I'm like 70% more likely to get sick.
Yeah. So I'll give you an example. When I got leaky gut and candida years ago, was when I first started the online coaching. So around 2018, I looked kind of like how I look now. I ate really well. I worked out, I take care of myself, get my steps in, but I was highly stressed because I had just started my business. So new online business, don't know what I'm doing, didn't have my coach yet. I was freaking out. I left all my in-person clients to go all in on this online business. And I was very stressed. My partner and I at the time were having some stressful times as well. And because I was so stressed, it didn't matter how healthy I was eating, I got really sick. So yes, you can be doing a lot of the right things, but if if you have a high level of stress and that gut microbiome is off, yeah, you're going to get sick for sure. So that's why it's really important. That's why I said stress highly affects gut health. And if you want to prevent yourself from getting sick, I have a client, she keeps getting sick because she's a ball of stress and she eats well. I'm like, it's your stress. It's your stress. And until you leave this job or make a move, you know what I mean? So just paying attention to that. But yeah, so yeah, those numbers I see time and time again. I've been coaching in gut health and I studied under a functional medicine doctor in California. And those are the numbers that might even be more now. Originally, they said that only around like 50 to 60% of serotonin and dopamine were located in the gut. And now it's up to 70, 80. So I think they're just doing more and more studies and they keep finding it. So back to the symptoms. Yeah. Anxiety, depression, fatigue, migraines, UTIs, yeast infections, the whites of your eyes looking kind of not white, like yellowy, also sign of poor gut health. So there's tons and tons of signs of poor gut health, which can be confused with perimenopause and menopause symptoms too. A lot of them. The fatigue, the weight gain.
Totally. It sounds a little bit, that could also be like some postpartum symptoms too, but I know it's a little more complicated, but yeah.
Yeah, could be. And also could be Epstein-Barr virus. I mean, there's a lot of symptoms which is why I'm always like, let's start with the gut, because you're never going to go wrong doing gut healing protocol. Most people need it because, fun fact, your gut health forms at the time you're in your mother's womb. So whatever your mother was going through, that means that got transferred to you. And then when you're born, you're not a clean slate. You probably got sick. You were on antibiotics. Like we talked about, remember, like I was on all these antibiotics for acne. So were you. So you're on all these pills or you're getting sick as a kid. You know, back in the day, they just gave out Z-Packs like nothing, right? Or whatever antibiotics, can't remember. But you're on all these things that antibiotics, just one round is enough to wipe out your good gut bacteria. Now multiply how many times you've been on antibiotics and you're in your late 20s, 30s, 40s and beyond. And you're like, oh, wow, my gut needs attention. That's why I'm like, everyone needs a gut healing protocol. Everyone.
Yeah. This is like such a confirmation that I get to do that again, but thank you for sharing those symptoms. And I remember I had a gut healing journey once, and that was in 2020 and 2021. I had cystic acne and it cleared my cystic acne. I still have quite a lot of scarring that I don't know, whatever. I'm learning how to clear that right now. But my whole face, Andrew's like covered in acne. And I went through the similar thing that you went through of like antibiotics for years.
And none of it worked, right? Or it would work a little bit, but then it would come back.
Yeah, mine worked when I took them, but obviously it wasn't doing well for my gut. And I remember having like a really serious kidney infection and I had to go through 3 different antibiotics because I actually needed them. And I had developed a resistance to them because I had been taking them for acne this whole time that could have been healed through my gut health, where it's like, kidney infection, probably take them. Acne,
gut health, right. So see, also like eczema, rosacea. I used to have really bad eczema, like all my arms, my elbows and my ankles and my feet. I don't get it anymore.
Wow. So what is something for the woman who's watching this and is having this aha epiphany? And I also just want to say that this conversation is really astrologically aligned because Saturn is moving into Aries at the end of May. Actually, in the next couple of days, by the time this comes out, it will already have moved. And when Saturn moves in the sky, it affects everyone, regardless of if you're having a Saturn return or not. But if you were born between 1996 to 1999 or 1967 to 1969, you are having a Saturn return. And this is especially important because Aries in astrology rules the first house. And the first house is your physical health, your physical body, and your overall identity. And it was really cool to hear you say, to hear you talk about identity shifts with weight loss and identity shifts with gut health. And the through line of this conversation of having different clients that come to you with different needs, right? But there is an underlying theme of identity. Wanting to be healthy and fit and just active for your business and your daughter, that is an identity. Wanting to grow my butt and toe my arms, like that is an identity, right? Regardless of where it's going.
Totally.
And I think there's going to be the thing with Saturn is things move slowly. So Saturn takes about 3 years to move. So it's basically indicative that in the next 3 years, if one focuses on those things, they will have slow but long lasting progress.
And that's what we want. Slow.
During this podcast, you heard Angelica and I talk about an upcoming Saturn transit that's going to be happening for the next 3 years. And if you're curious about how this is going to impact your chart in general, but specifically if you were born between 1996 and 1999 or 1967 and 1969, you can book a $44 Saturn return reading with me. I would be so happy to dive into your chart and give you some tools and tips on how to best navigate and harness this energy. The link to book is in my show notes. Now let's get back to the podcast. I wanted to ask you about that, and specifically with gut health. Like, so how long can one expect doing a gut health protocol? And maybe you could just share like one tip that we could do every day. How long should we expect to see results? And what would you say to somebody who wants to spend their next 3 years with this Saturn transit working on their physical health?
Yeah. So one, I'll give 2 easy tips. Lemon water, warm lemon water every morning. Warm water in Ayurvedic medicine is very good for your digestive system. The lemon is great for stimulating bile, getting your digestive system flowing, and eliminating toxins. Don't start your morning with coffee. Start your morning with warm lemon water. Very easy to do. You'll notice that you feel better. I also see my skin is much glowier since I've been doing the lemon water. And I also do a facial cold plunge in the morning, which would be great for tightening your pores and the acne scars as well. In addition to red light masks, side note, those are not gut health things, but the warm lemon water is great. And then belly breathing. So because we're talking a lot about chronic stress on this episode here and nervous system regulation, if you're in chronic stress, if you're highly dysregulated, living in fight or flight, that affects your gut health. High stress is going to skew your gut, which then skews your hormones, which then skews your metabolism, which then leads to weight gain, anxiety, depression, all the things. So take a minute, a literal minute to breathe. And box breathing is the most simple. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4. There's a million types of breaths you can do. You can go on YouTube, you can get an app, but that is the most easy thing you can do. If you want to do a guided meditation, download Headspace app, Calm, Insight Timer. There's a million, go to YouTube, but do something to just come into the present moment and slow down. Like that. Take a breath. Take a moment to yourself, because most of the people listening, I'm assuming a lot of women listen, they're doing everything for everyone else but themselves, for their kids, for their partner, for their career. And they forget to turn in and slow down and tune into themselves. And that will calm the nervous system down, which will then help heal the gut. That's not what most people think when they think of gut health. But when I had leaky gut and candida, my functional medicine doctor prescribed me transcendental meditation. I thought he was crazy. I wasn't meditating at this point. This is 8 years ago. I was like, what?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, you're way too high strung. You're way too high stress. And I was like, but I eat so well. He's like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And that's when I started to get really into like, oh, this is way deeper than just what we're eating. Of course that matters, but it's way deeper. Like your thoughts on a daily basis. Are you living in lack? Are you living in worry? Are you living in fear? This is where I go with my clients. This is not, well, that's what I'm talking about. It's not just these calories in, calories out. It's like, what's going on in your brain? How is your body holding on to it? Your issues are living in your tissues. Was there another question? It was 2 tips. I gave those.
Well,
I forgot now. I went on a tangent.
No, that was that. Oh, well, I can segue back into it, which is, so there's this that you preach, and I think that's really valuable because I don't know about you, but I know myself and a lot of my friends who are high achievers, we love to have things to do, more things to do. And I'm like, amazing, give me another thing to do. And that's why it's always easier to do something else than it is to just do something less. And I really appreciate it.
Yeah, do less. You asked how long it takes to heal your gut. Like what should we expect? And it is dependent on a person's symptoms and what they have going on. Someone who has SIBO versus candida versus leaky gut. But I would say 6 months. If you're experiencing like some pretty extreme dysbiosis, which is inflammation in the gut, uncomfortable symptoms, I would give yourself 6 months. However, I have clients feel better within 4 weeks. Like, don't get me wrong, but you want to give yourself 6 months. And then just like anything else, it's a never ending journey. You don't just do the gut healing protocol and say, okay, bye, I'm going to go back to eating fried food and being stressed all the, no, then you just like, you don't you don't live in that healthy state that you just got yourself to. So it's a day in, day out, and it's a choice. Obviously, when you're in a gut healing protocol, it's a little more stringent. You're paying a little bit more attention to what you're putting into your body and how you're being, who you're being on the journey matters. And then you want to carry some of that with you, which is why I've carried the meditation with me. But I could feel when I'm really stressed, if there's things going on with me and my husband or in my business, like I could see it in my body. And then I'm like, okay, gotta get back to the basics.
You said who you're being matters. Would you like to elaborate on that just for a minute or so? What do you mean by that? Who you're being on your journey?
You're being, yeah. A lot of us, like you said, tell me what to do. Tell me one more thing what to do. What do I do? What do I do? How do I do it? Everyone needs strategy. We need strategy in our business. We need strategy for our body. We need strategy for our nutrition. Like, we're not just winging it, right? Well, you can wing it. But I don't even feel like intuitive eating is winging it, because you pay attention to what your body likes, right? So we all need strategy. But then there's the energetic piece of like, who am I being on this journey? Am I being this next level woman who cares about her body and her gut health and, focuses on stress management and decreasing cortisol? Or am I being this girl who just like goes into burnout, doesn't care, just needs to do all the things, right? Who are you being? And it's a choice every day. Who am I going to be? I remember like before I hit 7 figures in my business, my mentor said to me, like, who is that version of you? Who are you being? Are you being her, or are you being the Angelica who started the business 5 years ago that thinks of things this way? So who are you being on that journey?
Wow. Do you remember when we were working together and I was curious, I wanted to quit my part-time job and you led me through that tapping session?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember? That was so healing for me. And I didn't quit in that moment, but I quit about like 6 months later.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I probably needed a little bit more time there. I don't know if I needed as much time as I stayed. I probably needed like a month.
Yeah. You did.
I feel like that session, it really poured me with more confidence that I hadn't had in a while. And I feel like it set things in motion in my actual life to create the environment for me to then naturally end up quitting anyway. Like, you know what I mean? I feel like it set the dominoes.
Yep. Totally.
And I was so grateful for that reminder of, wait, hold on. Like, I'm a soul beyond my business goals. And my business goals were first at that time and my body goals were second, but I'm a soul beyond both of those things.
Totally. Yes.
I love that of like, who are we being? And I felt like I need to talk about myself in this moment because I'm on like my 3rd wellness kick and I had a great relationship with my body before I got pregnant and I was intuitive eating and I lost a bunch of weight and I was working out a lot and I felt great. And my gut health, I think, was excellent. But then when I was pregnant, I was just like, I'm pregnant and I'm hungry, so I'm just gonna eat everything. And I also was stressed when I was pregnant because pregnancy does naturally raise your cortisol on purpose so that we can like hear our babies crying and stuff.
Yeah.
But at some point one needs to like come out of that phase. And I always try to think as I'm building a relationship back up with my wellness and health. And when I was building my relationship back up with my fitness a year ago, like, what's the vibe I want to bring to this? Because my daughter's watching me.
Totally. So who are you being now? Because you're being a totally different person now than you were years ago, right? And this isn't just about fitness for you. This is an overall sense of being to be the highest version of yourself for your daughter and you.
Thank you. And, I'd say like we have a couple minutes left, so I'm going to start to wrap this up, but I wish we could keep talking, but maybe we'll do another one.
We'll do another episode.
Because I'm feeling now into like, how do we see our mothers handling their health? So you talked about like how we literally inherit their gut health, but mentally, emotionally, like how did we see them having a relationship with their bodies? And like what I saw was like always being stressed about weight. She gave me my first diet book when I was 13.
Oh,
but
wow.
she was always overweight and I think still is. And I don't want to talk too much crap, but always eating like, crazy foods, drinking a lot, overworking, stressed, like all the things. And it's like,
that's what a lot of us grew up with.
Right. A lot of us grew up with that. And it was tough because I associated, first of all, that made me associate health with the way somebody's body looks. Mm-hmm. But I didn't realize there were any gray areas.
Right.
And it also made me within myself feel like, oh, like this is something that's really hard, challenging. I'll never be able to do it. So I might as well not try. And it wasn't until I got into the world and became an adult that I saw like many different people on many different parts of any spectrum that were well and healthy. And I realized I could do that for myself, and they had a positive mindset and attitude. So I love that you cultivate that all together. And I'm really grateful for the work you do in the world.
You.
2 last questions for you. So since we didn't talk about this before, we need to know now, the astrology girls need to know, what is your big 3? So your sun, moon, and rising.
Aries. And I forgot the other ones. You know them.
I remember that you're an Aries sun, and I think you're Scorpio rising, but I can't remember your moon.
Aries rising, Aries sun, and Scorpio moon. And my husband is actually a Scorpio.
That's a synastry placement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a lot of things in my chart, which explains a lot.
Yeah, it does, you know. So you're gonna have Saturn transiting at least your first house, and it would also transit whatever house your sun is in, which we don't have to get into right now. Okay. But you are going to be one of those people who's experiencing that specific focus on health, which makes sense given what you do. So maybe it's you rising into a leadership position in that way. You already are, but even more so. Or just finding like another aspect of the physical body. Like,
makes sense.
It could even be something like random, like chiropractic work, dental work. I don't know, like something. It doesn't have to be.
I think you said leadership work. So I've been doing these healthy hustle workshops, leading those, and I'm calling and doing more speaking, like corporate speaking, you know, for companies where their employees are feeling burnt out. So maybe something like that. But yeah something like that. And also I'm getting really more into nervous system regulation, where there wasn't really a big focus of my program a few years ago, like when we worked together. And now it's like, it's very transparent to me that women need this, like, deeply.
I love that. You might even like end up going into some sort of additional training too. Sometimes when Saturn transits, like there's like some learning involved. So you might be like teaching the things you're masterful in, and then there might be some like Qigong class, and you're like, okay, I'm certified to do this now. I don't know what it is, but
we will see.
One thing awesome you do, it's like there's leadership and passion and fitness and business, but there's also with Scorpio moon is a deeply, deeply psychic placement. I actually have a Scorpio moon in Vedic astrology or zodiacal astrology. It's very empathetic, very intuitive, very emotional, and just deep. So that's really beautiful because you can see what isn't being said. But I was going to say, I think it's powerful to ask podcast guests because I want people to start studying the signs where it's like, oh, okay. You know, you this guest vibe, and then you see their big 3, you can start to make connections around like, everybody who's been a Taurus that came on this podcast talked about motherhood or whatever. The second question was, how can people work with you and like really heal their gut for good?
So we have our program called the Align Method, and it's completely customized coaching, wellness, holistic health, gut healing. So if you're interested, you can send me a message on Instagram at the Angelica Ventrice. There's also a link in my bio. You can apply for a consult call. We do obviously interview our clients because we want to make sure it's a good fit. We have 100% success rate on our gut healing protocol, which is really special. So yeah, you can join our program. We do 3 months or 6 month protocols. Most people do 6 months, but always happy to start with 3. And everything is customized. Don't worry if you travel or you're this or that or you're busy, because we work with only busy high level professionals. So don't worry about that. We'll work around it. Yeah.
Awesome. Great. Well, thank you for all this wisdom and insight. I know it is both learned and studied, and we're really lucky that we got to experience it for the time we had today. I know there's much more we could dive into, so I'm sure we'll do this again, but I'm curious. My last thing is for listeners who are seeing this, especially if you're on a social media platform, if you have any additional questions that Anne didn't speak about, maybe leave them in the comments and we can talk about doing a follow-up to answer them. I think that would be really cool.
Yeah, would love that. And we can also do other topics too, you know, so many other things around health or mindset. So always happy to do that. And if you're listening and you're not ready for coaching, I do have a free course or free gut healing meal plan. So you can just DM me the word gut and I'll share whatever with you, whatever you need.
Yay. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you, Ange.
Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this episode of the Wild Wisdom podcast. Really enjoyed this podcast. Go ahead, like, share, and subscribe to spread this wisdom to other sisters who might need it.